The warning: far away from Earth, deep in the center of the galaxy, there was a place no human had ever seen. A great hall, built inside a floating space station, where leaders of hundreds of alien species came together. This was the Galactic Council, the most powerful group in the universe. They met in silence. No one smiled, no one joked. This was not a normal meeting. Something dangerous had been discovered. And now, it had to be discussed. High Chancellor Provoke, a tall creature with glowing eyes and crystal skin, stood up. His voice was calm, but every word was heavy. We must speak about Planet 92T, the planet the locals call Earth. The room filled with quiet energy. Some aliens leaned forward. Others looked away. They had all heard the name before. Earth was not just any planet. It was strange, it was wild, and it was. HFY opened a hologram in the air. Videos and images played. Humans fighting in wars, humans dancing, humans crying, humans smiling. So many emotions, so fast, so powerful. These beings are not like us, Provoke continued. They feel too much. They move too fast, they destroy, but they also create. We sent probes, we watched them for years, and what we saw confused us. The council watched a video of a human man running into a burning building to save a stranger. Then, another clip: nations launching missiles at each other over disagreements. They are brave, said a small insect-like ambassador from Zentha 4. But also foolish. They are clever, said a snake-shaped being from Venix Prime, but dangerous. Provoke raised a hand to quiet them. 5 years ago, one of our science teams landed near their planet. They stayed in orbit, hidden, but somehow, the humans noticed. The screen changed. It showed a human military radar locking onto the alien ship. Then, rockets launched from Earth. The alien ship escaped, barely. They detected us with 60-year-old technology. And they attacked without fear, Provoke said. They are not ready for space travel. Yet, they are not afraid of the unknown. A murmur passed through the room. So what do we do? Asked another leader. Destroy them before they destroy us? No, Provoke said sharply. We do not attack. We do not contact. We do not approach. We watch ... and we wait. The council voted. The result was clear. Earth was to be marked red zone. No alien ship was allowed to land or contact humans. The risk was too high. After the vote, the leaders slowly left the room. Some were relieved, some were afraid. But not everyone agreed. In a quiet corner of the chamber, a young alien officer named Velrun watched everything. He was new, curious, brave. Maybe too brave. He whispered to his commander, "Why are we so afraid of them? They are just primitive creatures." The commander looked at Velrun with cold eyes. "Because, young one, they are not like us. They don't follow the rules of the stars. They follow their emotions. And that makes them the most unpredictable life forms we have ever seen." But Velrun was not convinced. He had seen the videos too. He had read the reports. Yes, humans could be violent. But they could also be kind, heroic, loving. He kept thinking about one video. A human soldier jumping on a bomb to save his friends. No one ordered him. No one made him do it. He just did. What kind of creature dies for others, even strangers? Velrun wondered. That night while the council slept, Velrun broke protocol. He opened the hidden files. He studied more about Earth, their history, their art, their wars, their inventions. One report caught his eye. Subject 19, Emotional Weaponry. It told the story of how human emotions, grief, rage, hope could influence other species, even machines. One AI probe shut down after watching a human movie. Another alien drone self-destructed after hearing a human scream. They are not just strong, Velrun whispered. They are contagious. But instead of being afraid, Velrun felt something else. Wonder. He made a decision that would change the galaxy. He would go to Earth himself. He would meet the humans. He would find out the truth, because maybe the council was right, or maybe they were very, very wrong. The stars were quiet. The council had given their warning. Do not go near the humans. But Velrun, the young alien officer with eyes full of curiosity, couldn't forget what he saw. He had watched Earth's history unfold through secret reports. Violence, yes, but also art, music, courage, and something else. Emotion. No other species had it like humans did. So, one cold rotation later, he disobeyed the law. Inside a stolen scout ship no larger than a cargo container, Velrun broke orbit and headed toward the blue planet. He masked his signature, avoided satellites, and landed quietly on the edge of a small town humans called Riverview. To them, it was just another night. To Velrun, it was first contact. Velrun wore a biosuit that adjusted his appearance. He didn't look fully human, but close enough to pass in the dark. His four-fingered hands were hidden in gloves. His pale, silver eyes were covered by dark lenses. He walked quietly through empty streets. Houses lit from inside. Machines on wheels parked outside. The air smelled like rain and smoke. They build with metal and dreams, Velrun whispered. Suddenly, a noise. Screaming. He turned sharply and followed the sound. A building was on fire. Humans stood outside, shouting, afraid. A child was trapped inside. No one moved. Velrun didn't think. He ran straight in. Flames licked the walls. Smoke burned his lungs. He located the small human, curled in fear, and wrapped him in his arms. He activated his shield and burst through the flames. Out onto the street. People gasped. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. What is that? Is he wearing armor? Velrun placed the child down and ran into the shadows. He had saved a life. A human life, but he had made a mistake. He had been seen. Within minutes, the footage hit the internet. Alien saves child in Riverview. Real-life superhero? Government cover-up? Within an hour, Earth's military locked the town down. Velrun tried to escape, but Earth's technology surprised him again. They jammed his ship's signal. Drones followed him. A net of energy trapped him as he reached the forest. The last thing he saw before blackout, a human soldier pointing a weapon. And not with fear, but with curiosity. He woke up in darkness to cold steel under him. Bright lights above. Velrun was inside a human facility. Underground. Quiet. He was not in chains. Not in pain. Instead, a soft voice spoke. You're awake. Humans stood behind glass. A woman in a white coat. Calm eyes. No weapon. I'm Dr. Eva Lang. You're safe. We're not here to hurt you. Velrun blinked. He had expected violence, interrogation, but here was calm. Logic, kindness. Why did you save the boy? She asked. Velrun replied, voice rough. Because no one else did. Dr. Lang smiled. But her eyes searched him like a scientist. You're not the first alien to come here, she said quietly. But you might be the first. Who cares? He didn't know how to answer. She leaned in. Tell me, what do they say about us? Out there, in the stars. Velrun hesitated. Then he said, they fear you. That night, Velrun wasn't locked. In a cage, he was given food, water, a place to sit. He watched a screen human history. Documentaries, war, music, laughter, protest, poetry. He felt overwhelmed. How could one species carry so much? Everything, pain and beauty, chaos and compassion. He sent a message out with a hidden beacon in his suit. A short signal to his homeworld. They are not what we thought. They are not monsters, but they are not safe either. Far above Earth, satellites picked up Velrun's signal. And somewhere in the galaxy, someone else was listening, another species. Not as patient, not as cautious as the Council, They had heard the warnings too, but they, like Velrun, had just decided not to listen. Inside the human cage, the room wasn't made for a prisoner. There were no chains, no weapons, no guards shouting orders. And yet, Velrun had never felt more trapped. The walls were smooth, white. The lights were always on, never too bright, never too dark. A table, a chair, a bed softer than any rock he'd known. To a human, it might look like a peaceful hospital room. To an alien, it was a cage wrapped in kindness. Every day, the same human entered the room. Dr. Eva Lang, the scientist with sharp eyes and a voice like quiet thunder. She never raised her voice. She never threatened him. She only asked questions. Why did you come here? What does your council fear about us? Do you feel emotions like we do? Velrun didn't answer at first. He watched her. She was so calm, so patient. But her eyes always watched him like a puzzle she was solving. Then one day, she said something he didn't expect. You're not our first visitor. Velrun's eyes flickered. Others came? He asked for the first time. She nodded. Some crashed. Some were caught. One tried to invade and failed. You're different. You helped a child. He thought of the boy, the small arms around his neck. The look of trust, not fear. Why had he done that? He didn't know that. The next day, she brought a device. A small black screen. It's called a tablet. You can use it to learn. Velrun started watching human history, human wars, human art, music, love stories, horror films, speeches from angry leaders, speeches from peaceful ones. At first, it made no sense. These creatures loved and killed with the same passion. They cried when they were happy. They laughed when in pain. They wrote songs about death and danced to them. They are chaos, Velrun wrote in his hidden log. But somehow, they make the chaos beautiful. One night, when the lights dimmed, Velrun heard a sound. Laughter. It came from behind the walls, somewhere beyond the lab. A group of guards were playing a game. Cards, jokes. One of them was telling a story about his dog eating his socks. Velrun listened and smiled. Not because it was funny, but because it felt normal. These beings were deadly, yes, but they were also alive in ways no other species was. Then came the test. Velrun was taken to a different room, monitors everywhere, a chair with wires. He sat calmly, waiting for pain, but it didn't come. Instead, Dr. Lang played a video. A human soldier on the battlefield, saving a friend. Another video, a man donating his last dollar to feed a stranger. Then a mother crying at her child's graduation. One by one, human emotions hit Velrun like waves. He gripped the chair. His skin shifted color. His heartbeat rose. Why are you doing this? He asked. Dr. Lang watched him closely. We want to know how your kind handles empathy. Velrun didn't understand at first. Then he realized they weren't testing his strength. They were testing his heart. Later, when alone, Velrun stared at his reflection. For the first time, he didn't see a soldier or an explorer. He saw confusion, doubt, and something else. Fear. Not fear of humans, but fear of what he was becoming. He sent another message through his hidden channel. Humans are not simple. They feel too much, and somehow they survive it. Their strength is not in their weapons. It is in their hearts. Then he paused and added one more line. I don't know if we should fear them or follow them. But someone else was already on the move. In deep space, a distant species received Velrun's first signal. They were older than humans, colder, without emotion. They did not wait for permission. They sent a ship. Not for peace, not for study, for conquest. And back on Earth, Velrun sat quietly in his cage of comfort, unaware that the storm he started was now racing toward humanity at the speed of war. The breakout, the human facility, was quiet. Too quiet, somewhere above. Machines hummed. Cameras blinked. Lights stayed white and soft. It was peaceful. On the surface, but deep in the walls, the building held a secret. An alien was about to escape. Velrun sat on the floor, eyes closed, listening. For days he had done nothing. No resistance, no anger. He had answered questions, watched videos, learned their language, learned their hearts. But something had changed. The silence now felt wrong. Too many guards had vanished. The doctor hadn't returned in 2 days. And worst of all, the humans had stopped asking questions. They were preparing for something. That night, a sound broke the stillness. A click at the door. Velrun turned. A human guard stepped in, young, nervous. His hand shook on his badge. He wasn't supposed to be here. You need to go, he whispered. Velrun stood confused. Why? I don't have time to explain. Something's coming. Not from Earth, from space. We intercepted a signal. They're not like you. The guard handed him a black bag. Inside, a stealth cloak, a map, and 1 human energy bar. I'm breaking 50 laws by helping you, the guard said, half smiling. Let's make it worth it. Velrun looked him in the eye. This wasn't pity. It wasn't fear. It was respect. Thank you, Velrun said simply. And then, he was gone. The human base was larger than he thought. Corridors twisted like a maze. Alarms stayed silent, but he moved fast as instincts screaming. He passed labs, data centers, a chamber filled with tech stolen from other alien ships. And then, he saw it, a file with his name, dozens of reports, brain scans, emotional analysis. A line written in bold. Subject shows signs of cross-species empathy. Caution, risk of identification with humans. Velrun stared at those words. He didn't belong to the council anymore. And now, not even to himself. He exited through a ventilation shaft, climbed up into darkness. When he reached the surface, it wasn't what he expected. He wasn't in a base. He was under a shopping mall. He stood on a rooftop overlooking a glowing city. Cars moved like blood through streets. Neon signs blinked in strange colors. Music thumped from a nearby building. Laughter echoed. This wasn't war. This wasn't fear. This was life, human life. Raw, loud, and beautiful. Velrun took a breath. His first full breath of real air. Polluted, sweet, free. He moved through the city in disguise. No one noticed him. Just another face in the crowd. He saw a man giving food to a homeless woman. A child crying, then laughing seconds later. 2 people arguing in a park, then hugging before they left. No alien species lived like this. So much conflict, so much forgiveness. They burned so brightly, Velrun thought. They must burn out fast. But peace didn't last long. At 2:14 a.m., the sky cracked. A ship, silent, dark, large enough to block the stars. It wasn't human. And it wasn't council. It was something else. Something colder. The humans didn't understand. They pointed, filmed, laughed, until the first beam hit a building and turned it to dust. Panic exploded. Velrun watched in horror. He knew that weapon. He knew what came next, but then something unexpected happened. The humans fought back. Police officers helped people escape. Strangers pulled each other from rubble. Firefighters ran into collapsing buildings. There was no plan. No army, just people. Ordinary, scared, angry people. Refusing to die quietly, Velrun felt something burn inside him. Not fear, not confusion, but belonging. He saw a child under a fallen sign. Her mother screamed. People were running away. Velrun didn't run. He rushed in, lifted the metal with enhanced strength, pulled her free. Someone filmed it, and just like before, the world saw him, but this time no one screamed monster. They whispered, he saved her. He's one of the good ones. Maybe they're not all bad. That night, as the alien ship retreated and sirens wailed, Earth had changed. Not because of a war, but because of a choice, one alien. One mistake. One moment of kindness. And far above Earth, in the cold silence of space, the Galactic Council received a message from Velrun's ship. Only 2 words. Too late. The Council's mistake. The great halls of the Galactic Council had never been this silent. Not during wars. Not during First Contact. Not even during the fall of the Tsarn Empire. This silence was heavier. It was shame. A single hologram floated in the air. A city on Earth. Broken buildings, fires, human children crying. And above it all, the shadow of an alien warship retreating into space. The message was clear. Earth had been attacked. And Earth had survived, without Council help. Without alien technology. With only human rage. And unity. At the center of the chamber stood Vel Ran. No longer a junior officer. No longer a rule breaker hiding behind excuses. He stood tall, calm, eyes bright with memory and fire. Around him, hundreds of council members watched, some angry, some afraid, some simply confused. Chancellor Rock spoke first. You disobeyed orders. You brought attention to a restricted planet. You may have started a galactic incident. Velrun didn't flinch. No, he replied. Your silence did that. I only revealed the truth. He lifted a device from his cloak. It projected dozens of recordings, humans saving strangers, fighting off alien drones, grieving, celebrating, singing in rubble, laughing after loss. Raw, real, terrifyingly alive. Velrun pointed to a single image, a human firefighter carrying a child through flames. This is why your laws failed. He walked slowly across the floor. You feared humans because you saw their violence. You studied their wars. You watched them scream and destroy and rage. He paused, but you never stayed long enough to see what came after. A representative from the Lure Dominion stood. She was part machine, part light. Her voice glowed. They are still unstable, still dangerous, Velrun nodded. Yes, and so are we. Every species in this room has fought, destroyed. But none of us ever created music from pain. None of us made art from grief. None of us cry for enemies we've killed. The chamber fell into whispers. Velrun looked up, eyes steady. I have seen more humanity in 5 days than I have seen logic in this council's last 5 years. That stung. Even Ravok blinked. Then Velrun dropped the final piece. A transmission from the alien warship that attacked Earth. They had intercepted it. The voice was cold, metallic. Earth holds potential beyond expectation. They must be contained, or they will rise. They are not weak. They are evolving, emotionally, intellectually, dangerously fast. We attacked too soon. We did not understand. They do not fear death. They fear nothing. The room went still again. Velrun took a breath. You warned the galaxy about humans, but never asked if they might be the very thing we need. A younger council member stood. What are you suggesting? Velrun didn't smile. I'm not suggesting. I'm warning you now. What's coming next won't be stopped by walls, rules, or silence, because humans will not stay on Earth forever. In the dark corners of the chamber, some species whispered about invasion. Others spoke of alliances. But a few sat in silent awe, because for the first time in 1,000 years, something new had entered the council chamber. Not a law, not a threat, not fear. Hope. Revok stepped forward again. So, what do we do now? Velrun looked him straight in the eyes. You don't choose. The humans will. Far away, on Earth, governments were meeting. News was spreading. Alien contact was real. The skies were no longer empty, but there was no panic. Instead, curiosity. Humanity wasn't afraid of being found. They were ready to rise. And somewhere in deep space, Other species were watching, listening, planning. Some prepared to destroy. Others prepared to bow. But all of them finally understood what the Council had feared, not that humans were monsters, but that they were becoming something greater. Humanity fights back. The sky above Earth broke without warning. No lights, no sound, no message. Just a shadow that swallowed the sun over 4 major cities. The ship was the size of a continent. Its surface was black, smooth like a grave carved from space itself. It didn't demand surrender. It just opened fire. Cities turned to ash in seconds. Satellites melted. Communications dropped. Electricity vanished. But humanity didn't. In bunkers, under schools, inside traffic jams and ruined hospitals, people helped each other, not soldiers, not leaders. Everyone. The aliens thought they were attacking one species. What they didn't understand was that Earth doesn't fight as one species. It fights as a planet. The enemy, called the Threx, Dominion, had watched humans from afar. They had seen fear. They had seen division. They assumed Earth would collapse in confusion. They were wrong. Within an hour, the world was no longer separated by country. Enemies turned allies. Rivals shared codes. Hackers broke the enemy's encryption using coffee shop Wi-Fi. Mechanics turned cars into mobile weapons. Farmers dug bunkers. Teens live-streamed battlefield maps from drones. Humanity did what it always does when cornered. It adapted. At the United Coalition Command Center, buried deep under Greenland's ice, the generals didn't yell. They listened. And the voice they listened to wasn't military. It was VEL Ran. He stood in front of Earth's leaders, wearing the scars of his escape, his uniform tattered. "You cannot fight them like you fight each other," he said. "The Threx don't fear pain. They don't understand chaos. You must become what they don't expect." He leaned in. Unpredictable. Operation Ghost Storm began within 36 hours. Thousands of human minds connected across continents. Scientists rewired alien drones using scrap metal and 3D printers. Old Soviet weapons were paired with stolen Council tech. No one slept. No one complained. Even children helped sorting food, charging batteries, sharing maps. The Threx watched this madness and made a mistake. They thought it was panic. It was preparation. Then came Day 3. The humans hit back. Hard. A hacked satellite fell from orbit, not by accident, but as a weapon. It struck the Threx command node in Earth's upper atmosphere. 1/3 of the ship went blind. Then a group of fighter pilots flew into the black storm, knowing they wouldn't return, just to break a hole in the shield long enough to launch. 1 EMP payload. They succeeded. And they died smiling. Because that's the thing the galaxy kept forgetting. Humans don't fight for orders. They fight for each other. In the ruins of New York, a team of civilians led a counterattack using school buses and Molotovs. They took back 10 blocks from the Threx drones. When asked why, the leader, a 60-year-old retired teacher, replied, "Because it's my street." By Day 6, the Threx began to retreat, not because they couldn't win, but because they didn't understand why they were losing. Every time they destroyed something, the humans rebuilt it faster. Every time they killed a leader, 10 more rose. They expected logic. They got love mixed with rage. They didn't just meet resistance. They met something worse. They met hope on fire. In space, other alien species watched the chaos unfold. They saw Earth bleeding, but standing. They saw humans, creatures barely a few centuries into spaceflight, holding the line against a race that had conquered 10 galaxies. And one elder species whispered in their council chamber, "We feared they would destroy themselves. We never asked what would happen if they survived." The Threx left Earth on Day 9. No message, no warning. Just silence and smoke behind them. As their ship vanished into the stars, humans didn't celebrate. They buried their dead. They rebuilt their homes. They told their stories, and they remembered, not just the pain, but the unity. The fire. The fight. And in the ashes of war, Earth sent a single transmission into space. We are still here, no threats, no demands. Just a truth, a promise, a warning. The message to the star space is old. It forgets things, wars, empires, names, of planets that no longer exist. But one thing space never forgets is a signal. This one came from Earth. Simple, direct, no encryption, no tricks. It reached the edge of Council territory in 42 hours, then the outer colonies, then the war-torn zones where no flags fly. It passed through silence, through dust, through fear, and the message said only this: we are still here. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't even loud. But the galaxy heard it like thunder. In the crystal vaults of Viron 6, an elder race paused mid-prayer. On the warship remains orbiting Drazul, scavengers looked up and whispered, the humans survived. And in the dark halls of the Threx Dominion, those who had fled Earth, they said nothing at all. Because they knew what the others had only just begun to understand. The humans weren't warning the galaxy. They were inviting it. Back on Earth, cities were being rebuilt brick by brick. Families sat under skies that had once burned. Children played among broken statues and half-fallen towers. The world had scars now. But it also had something stronger. A memory. Inside the United Coalition HQ, a vote was passed. Earth would know. Longer hide, no more secrets. No more waiting. Humanity would enter the galactic map. On its own terms. Vareen stood at the launch deck of Earth's first deep space embassy vessel, the Dawnbreaker. He was no longer a visitor, not a prisoner, not even just an alien. He was now Earth's ambassador, chosen not by Earth, but by humans, who remembered what he did when it mattered. A child, the same one he saved during his first contact, now stood at his side, watching the stars. "Where are you going?" she asked. Velrin smiled. "To tell the truth," he said. "To tell them what I saw here." "What did you see?" she asked. He looked up as the engines hummed. "I saw monsters. I saw miracles. I saw people who argue and cry and break things and fix them again. I saw fear turn into fire, and I saw love so strong it turned into a weapon." The Dawnbreaker lifted into the sky, faster than light, carrying Earth's message not just in signal, but in action. All across the galaxy, debates began. Some still wanted to destroy Earth, others wanted to trade, but more and more voices rose saying, if humans can survive this long, if they can rise from the fire, what happens when they're ready to explore the stars for real? The council met again. But this time, it wasn't in fear. It was in respect. A new law was passed. Engage with humans, at your own risk. But the final message didn't come from the council. It came from a child's voice, accidentally picked up in the background of Earth's broadcast. "We're not scary. We're just learning." That line echoed longer than any weapon ever fired, because now the galaxy knew the truth. Humans weren't dangerous because they were perfect. They were dangerous because they kept going, no matter what. They turned pain into power, loss into legacy, and fear into fuel. So the stars waited, some in fear, some in hope. Because for the first time, the galaxy wasn't watching humans. It was waiting for them.